Number 5. Main Character Diaries. A college student, Nika Thein, who was convicted of stabbing her blind date during a sexual encounter, now claims that she was hallucinating during the frenzied attack. She insists that she believed she was the character portrayed by Salma Hayek in the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. 23-year-old Thein further asserts that she initially told authorities that the stabbing was in retaliation for a 2020 US drone strike that killed an Iranian commander because she believed that she was part of a Homeland episode when she was being interrogated. She suffers from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and she opened up about her state of mind to the Post shortly after receiving a 3-year probation sentence for the incident in which she stabbed her date Daniel Trevino in the neck during a rendezvous at a Las Vegas area hotel in 2022. She explained, "I was in a very manic state of mind. I essentially looked in the mirror and I thought, this actress is hot, thinking I'm Salma Hayek from the Dusk Till Dawn movie, and I was hallucinating there was a snake around my shoulders," referring to Quentin Tarantino's 1996 screenplay. Thein and her date had met on the Plenty of Fish dating app before deciding to meet for a sexual encounter at the Las Vegas Sunset Station Hotel and Casino on March 5, 2022, as previously reported by law enforcement. During their encounter, Thein blindfolded her date and subsequently stabbed him in the neck using a pink kitchen knife she had brought with her. The victim testified that he pushed her away after feeling a sharp pain and exclaimed, "What are you doing?" Thein quickly left the hotel room, but was apprehended by police shortly afterward. She claimed, "I was so far gone that even when I had handcuffs around me, I was still thinking I was a character. I thought I was going to have a custody scene, like a scene shot in jail. While I was being interviewed, I thought I was a TV character. I thought I was Carrie from Homeland, and I was imagining a camera behind me recording all these scenes," she said. During the interrogation, Thein, who immigrated to the US from Iran at the age of 12, confessed to detectives that she was seeking revenge against the US due to the killing of Iranian military leader Qasem Soleimani. However, she now denies the veracity of those statements, stating, "I don't believe in the things that I said that night. It is not within my political views. It is not within my family's political views." Thein claims she was not taking her medication at the time of the incident and only realized that she had stabbed Trevino 6 weeks later while in jail. Her lawyer argued that the stabbing was the result of a psychotic episode. Thein also shared with the judge that she had been a victim of rape when she was 18, and she had not realized how much her mental health had deteriorated since then. She mentioned that she had been in a mental health facility shortly before moving to Las Vegas, approximately a month before meeting Trevino at the hotel. "I was 3 weeks into taking my medication when I moved to Las Vegas, and just walking down the strip, I threw away all my medication," she explained. "I was hallucinating. I had so many delusions. I was on alcohol. I wasn't doing what my parents taught me to do. Putting all that together, I had a manic episode, schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, these all prior to my arrest." Thein claims she has consistently been on her medications for the past year, and despite apologizing to her victim in court, she refused to answer questions about him during her recent interview. Trevino had previously stated in court that he had chosen to forgive her, but he acknowledged that the law would determine her fate. The Post reached out to him, but there was no immediate response. Following her guilty plea to 2 counts of false imprisonment with the use of a deadly weapon, the judge sentenced Thein to probation and house arrest, citing her mental struggles as the reason for avoiding prison. How would you react if someone you know had a psychotic breakdown? Let us know in the comments and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Number 4. Teenage Dirtbag. A 17-year-old boy stands accused for the chilling murder of his parents, whose lifeless bodies were discovered in their suburban residence in Winthrop, Maine, during the early hours of a Monday morning in November 2016. The teenager, identified as Andrew Balser, was taken into custody following a brief hearing at Augusta District Court the following afternoon. The victims, Antonio and Alice Balser, both 47 years old, were found in their family home shortly after 1:45 a.m., prompted by a concerned neighbor's call to the police. The circumstances surrounding their deaths remain shrouded in mystery, as authorities have refrained from disclosing details, such as the cause of death or the use of any weapons. The only information released to the public is that both deaths are regarded as highly suspicious. Law enforcement officials declined to comment further, as Andrew appeared in court. Neighbors were alerted to the tragedy when a woman sought refuge in their home in the early hours of the morning, fearing for her life, as reported by the Portland Press-Herald. She conveyed that someone at the Balsa residence possessed a firearm, according to ABC. It remains unclear whether she was a member of the family, as none were available for comment when contacted. Maine's Attorney General is seeking to have Andrew tried as an adult, recommending a psychiatric assessment. He is presently held in custody at the Long Creek Youth Center without bail. Court documents were sealed, and his next court appearance was scheduled for November 17th. Andrew faces 2 Class A murder charges, each carrying a possible penalty of 25 years to life imprisonment if he is tried as an adult. In Maine, juveniles convicted of felony murder and tried as juveniles must serve a minimum of 25 years before parole consideration, following the state's removal of mandatory non-parole murder sentences in 2012. The guarded nature of the case is largely due to the defendant's age. Although Andrew is 17, prosecutors can apply to have him tried as an adult. He is a student at Winthrop High School, where counseling services were made available to students. Superintendent Gary Rosenthal described Andrew as a well-liked student who displayed no apparent signs of violence. He stated, "From what best I know, he was a very good kid, a very good student, an academically superior student." Rosenthal added that there were no discernible indicators of problems, and the family was well liked, particularly the mother. Andrew, a towering figure compared to his mother in a recent photograph of them together, was an enthusiastic discus thrower who often spent his leisure time engaging in activities with his mother, such as running races and skiing. The Attorney General's office, responsible for prosecuting the case, was unavailable for comment. Walt McKee, Andrew's attorney based in Augusta, Maine, confirmed that he had been contacted by the defendant's family but declined to provide further statements. Friends of the Balsa couple had expressed their grief on social media, describing them as loving parents and wonderful people. Alice worked at Winthrop Veterinary Hospital, while her husband, a retired U.S. Coast Guard member, was ordained as a reverend and belonged to the motorcycle group Exiles Maine. Former colleagues of Alice paid tribute to her on Facebook, recalling her as a cherished member of their tight-knit hospital family. As police conducted searches at the residence, several animals were removed in cages. Family friend Darren Fisher, who had a close relationship with the couple's oldest son Chris, spoke highly of them, describing them as a terrific couple who had boundless love for their sons. Autopsies on the bodies of the deceased couple were scheduled. Number 3. Still Love You. In February 2023, a woman posted a seemingly affectionate photograph of her cuddling with her boyfriend, mere hours before he allegedly shot her to death. The photo, shared by Fernie Cristina Alaya Palacios, was accompanied by a single-worded comment, "Sweetheart." Concern grew among her family when they were unable to reach her, prompting her 28-year-old sister Clara to report her as missing to the authorities. An investigation led the police to Fernie's residence, where they discovered her lifeless body. She had suffered 2 fatal gunshot wounds to her chest, and forensic experts estimated that she had been deceased for several hours. Authorities have identified her partner, 44-year-old Esteban Royas, as the primary suspect in the case. Esteban, who had been in a relationship with Fernie for approximately 18 months and had been living with her for 7, is currently evading law enforcement, according to police reports. The couple, both from Paraguayan origin, reside in the Zavaleta neighborhood in Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital. The tragic incident occurred in the early hours of February 19th, following an evening at a local bowling alley with Esteban and Fernie's 2 sisters. They had gone to see a band Fernie admired. Around 2 a.m., Fernie posted the photo of her and Esteban cuddling while they were still out together. Tragically, just a few hours later, Fernie lost her life. Her sister reported witnessing an argument between the couple at the bowling alley, which deeply upset Fernie. Clara recounted, "We were never suspicious of him, but she did tell us he was a jealous person." She added, "I never saw her with signs of violence. She distanced herself from the family when she went to live with him about 7 months ago." Clara also alleged that Esteban's ex-wife had filed 3 or 4 complaints against him, including claims that he had thrown his 8-month pregnant ex-wife down a flight of stairs and violently cut another girlfriend's hair with a knife. Furthermore, Clara disclosed that Esteban was known locally as a moneylender. Authorities have issued both national and international arrest warrants for the suspect as the investigation unfolds. This tragic incident underscores the pressing issue of gender-based violence in Argentina, where high rates of gender inequality and violence have created an environment where perpetrators often face minimal consequences. Official government data from 2021 revealed that a woman fell victim to gender-based violence every 35 hours in Argentina, resulting in 251 femicide victims in that year alone. Number 2. High school sweethearts. Arkansas natives Kayla Nelson and Dominique Whitaker's love story began in high school, where they both excelled as star athletes. Despite the added challenge of expecting their first child during their senior year, Kayla managed to maintain excellent grades and achieve the honor of valedictorian. Together, they welcomed 2 children into the world. However, shortly after graduating, they made the decision to live apart. But as fate would have it, their connection remained unbreakable. By the year 2010, Kayla and Dominique found themselves drawn back to each other's arms, opting to officially share their life together. Unfortunately, their reunion was short-lived and marred by tragedy. During the summer of that year, Dominique mysteriously disappeared, and his charred remains were later discovered near his home, having suffered a fatal gunshot wound to the back before being set ablaze. As the investigation into his untimely demise unfolded, the facade of the couple's relationship began to unravel, revealing a complex web of jealousy, concealed truths, and an ill-fated attempt to cover up the gruesome murder. Initially, Kayla recounted finding a note at her residence, purportedly authored by members of the Blood Gang, confessing to Dominique's murder. However, investigators were skeptical of this account, as Dominique, known for his reserved nature and avid interest in gaming, had no apparent connections to any criminal gangs, and such affiliations were virtually unheard of in their rural community. Eventually, Kayla admitted to fabricating the note. In a further attempt to divert blame, Kayla pointed fingers at her friend Jarrell Yaber, who had actually assisted her in disposing of Dominique's lifeless body. Nonetheless, Kayla would later make a startling confession, admitting to being the one responsible for Dominique's death. She claimed it was an act of self-defense, asserting that Dominique had subjected her to a decade of abuse. However, there was no substantial evidence to support her claims of his abusive behavior. In 2011, Kayla pleaded guilty to charges of first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. She was subsequently sentenced to 31 years in prison, where she continues to serve her sentence to this day. Number 1. Dixie Chicks Murder. The case, infamously known as the Dixie Chicks Murder, unfolded one morning in 2004 when Beverly Coates made her way to her neighbor's residence. Her purpose was to inform the resident, who happened to be an employee of the sheriff's office, that her husband Dennis Coates was missing from their secluded Arkansas home. Within a mere 12 hours, Dennis's lifeless body was discovered in a nearby wildlife preserve, bearing signs of a brutal crime, stab wounds and a slashed throat. Judy Flanagan, a friend of the Coates, played a pivotal role in the investigation. She disclosed to detectives that she had spent the previous night drinking with Dennis at their house. Subsequently, Dennis had offered her a ride home. According to Flanagan, as they were driving, a white van pulled up alongside their vehicle, carrying 2 unidentified men. To her shock, Dennis decided to join them for a beer, leaving her with his truck to drive back to his residence. Inside Dennis's truck, investigators stumbled upon suspicious traces of bleach and a cassette tape playing the Dixie Chicks song Goodbye Earl. This particular song narrated the tale of two best friends conspiring to murder one of their husbands, eerily mirroring the details of the crime scene itself. In a surprising twist, it was revealed that Flanagan had fabricated the white van narrative to conceal her involvement in the murder, which she had committed alongside Beverly, who was motivated by an extramarital affair and desiring to eliminate her husband from the picture, enlisted Flanagan's help. In 2005, Flanagan was convicted of the murder. Beverly, on the other hand, admitted her guilt to felony charges of hindering apprehension and obstructing prosecution for providing investigators with false statements. She was subsequently sentenced to 15 years in prison in 2005. Thanks so much for watching. Do you know anyone who seemed completely normal until they snapped? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on Bad Badger.